Hey everybody, welcome to Bones and Brews. Today we're doing smoked salmon burnt ends, so buckle up, here we go. So for our smoked salmon burnt ends, begins with a little bit of prep work. So it's early morning when I'm getting started because I'm gonna make these burnt ends in the afternoon on a smoker. So I've got 2 pieces of salmon here. You can see I've already started to cube this one up and make sure I pull that skin off of that salmon as well. So I'll cube both pieces up and then we will continue to get it ready with the curing process. So for the curing process, we're gonna get a few ingredients mixed together here, and then I've actually got my salmon already cubed up in a Ziploc bag. We'll pour that curing ingredients into that Ziploc bag and get them mixed up. So let's get started. So I've got about 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I'm using dark brown sugar, but you could use light brown sugar. I don't think it really matters for this recipe. And then I've got about 1/4 cup of salt. And then I'm gonna take some honey. Get in approximately 2 tablespoons of honey here. And last but not least, I'm gonna add a little bit of heat into this process as well. I'm gonna use some Holy Voodoo from Meat Church. Sprinkle some in here, which will be about a teaspoon or so. And we're gonna just go ahead and start mixing that together. Make sure that honey's kind of coated through some of that brown sugar. Get that salt all mixed in and that honey voodoo, that Holy Voodoo as well. Doesn't have to be great because it's gonna go right into that bag. I'm gonna take my Ziploc bag, and all I'm simply gonna do is pour that mixture in. Seal it up with a little bit of air in it because I'm actually going to use it to mix. And I'm just going to mix all those ingredients around in there. Get them on. Try to get them on, coating all those cubes of salmon. Once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let it just sit there for this curing process for up to 8 hours. Probably for the way I'm cooking today, it's probably about 4 to 6 hours. Once I'm done with this, we'll take it out of here. We're gonna rinse off that cure, and then I'm gonna put it on a rack, put it back in the refrigerator, let that cure, let everything kind of sit back in and dry out across the top of that salmon for about an hour before I put it on the smoker. So it's time to get this in the fridge, and then we will get it on the smoker later today. All right, you guys, so I took our salmon out of the refrigerator, got it on a rack here that I'm gonna put on the smoker in just a moment. So what I did with this rack is I actually had it sitting on a pan in the refrigerator for about an hour and a half. Once I pulled it out of the bag, I had rinsed off the salmon here, got some of that cure off of it, laid it in there. That way, that cold air in the refrigerator kind of makes everything nice and sticky and tacky on top of the salmon here. I've got my Weber Smoky Mountain going at about 220 degrees. So we're gonna throw it in the smoker. It should take about 3-ish hours or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to get on a smoker, and then we're going to make our glaze that we'll use every hour on top of that salmon as well. So let's get this on the Weber Smoky Mountain. All right, that's good to go. Just so you know, so I've got that at 220 degrees, as I mentioned. I've also got a little bit of apple wood in there. Would have mixed a little bit of hickory. So I figured those 2 woods should taste really good with that fish. So we're gonna let that go for about an hour. We'll come back here, start to make our glaze here in a moment. And I'm actually gonna make my glaze in a little bit of a dish that I can leave on the smoker. So it's gonna be nice and warm. So every time I just open that smoker, I can just instantly start to brush that glaze on there, make it nice and easy so that I don't have to keep that smoker open very long, all right? All right, so now we're gonna get our glaze going for that smoked salmon burnt ends. So what we're gonna do next is, I'm gonna use this as a nice metal little bowl here that I like to use on my smoker when I'm warming up sauces. It just works really well for me. So I'm going to use this, and we got a couple of ingredients we're going to use for our glaze. So I'm going to take some maple syrup, about 1/4 cup I'm going to pour in there. Alright, then next we're going to take, I'm going to spice it up a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of Mike's Hot Honey. It'll be probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more. back. Then next up, I've got about 4 tablespoons of butter here. Now, if I was not putting this on the smoker to warm it, I would have used melted butter as my glaze, but it's already going to melt inside there on the top of the smoker, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I'm going to add about a tablespoon, some nice sriracha sauce here. Put that right across the top. I'm not going to mix it up yet. I'll mix it up once it gets nice and warm. Let that butter melt in there. I'm going to throw that on the smoker as well, and then let it get nice and melted. So when we get about an hour in on that first round, I'll start to glaze those salmon pieces. Alright, so you see I've got my glaze here on the side of my smoker. It's all nice and warm there, so I'm just going to start to brush it on those salmon pieces here. We'll continue to do this. So this is what I'm doing every hour until it's ready. Like I said, it should take about 3 hours, and then we'll be ready to eat these bad boys. So it took about 3 hours on the Weber Smoky Mountain. I had it going about 220, 225 the entire time. Our salmon burnt ends are ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to admit I did a little something extra to them. I was brushing that glaze on there every hour. But about 15 minutes to go, I added a little bit of meat church, hot honey hog on there. So that seasoning on top is going to add another coating that I think we're going to love as well. So we're going to pull one of those off the rack here. Give it the old taste test. Oh yeah. Wow. So you can taste everything inside of that. I mean, like, you can tell that we had it sitting inside of that cure overnight. So that sweetness on the early end, and then we get that glaze I was putting on there with that more sweetness, but you can tell that hot honey sauce on there was in there as well. And that hot honey hog. This is amazing, my friends. Nice and crisp on the outside. Perfectly done on the inside for that salmon. Oh yeah. So good. So, I mean, currently the state of things here and across the country, salmon might be cheaper than brisket and ribs. So I suggest this might be your summer 22 go-to right here. Those salmon burnt ends. Oh yeah, so good, so good. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna plate these, and then after I get them plated, I'm gonna hit them with a little bit of sesame seed, some chopped green onion, get them looking really nice here, and then we will serve them up to the family if they make them into the family. But while we're sitting out here, I'm going to enjoy myself a beer. So from Narrow Gauge Brewing here, Florissant, Missouri here, just outside of St. Louis. One of the best breweries in the nation, hands down. Cloud City, their American IPA. Cheers to you guys. Oh yeah. Drinking on my glass. Beer Sauce Shop here. And so the local one here in Sunset Hills, there was a 2-year anniversary actually today. So this is a glass from the shop. Really enjoying that as well. So we're going to get these plated. We hope you like the recipe. Check out the full description in the description part of the episode here for Bones and Brews for this episode. We'll see everything from the whole recipe, from the brine to the glaze, everything we did. And as always, subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.